Hey guys, how's it going? So I got some wrestling news for you. Apparently Keith Lee is potentially headed to WWE. So I am not that well versed on him, but this is what I found from looking him up. He's 32 years old. He was trained by Killer Tim Brooks. He made his wrestling debut in 2005. He's billed at 333 pounds. No, 332 pounds. I'm sorry. He is 6'3". He has worked in Evolve, he's worked in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, he's worked at Crash, and he also made an appearance at WrestleMania Access of this year, defeating NXT's Cassius Ohio, or Oneo. I don't know exactly how you say the last name. So my initial impressions of him is I think he could do okay, but I feel like he's going to be one of those guys, if he does in fact come over, that he may get a moderate push when he first comes in, and he'll probably fall under the radar and eventually just become job fodder. And I'm not saying that because he doesn't have the talent. I'm saying that because you look at a guy like Apollo Crews. When he first debuted, everyone was making such a big deal. This guy's going to be the first black WWE champion. He was going to be one of the top main eventers, and obviously in the modern day, that is not the case. Apollo Crews is not even really mid card now. I don't think even most people remember he's in the company sometime, and it's not even really that it's his fault. It's just how the company's handled him. And I feel that Keith Lee will be in a similar situation where even if he has the talent, even if he has the charisma and the fan support, WWE just won't use that and capture it and utilize it. And, looking at the work I've seen from him, I think he'd do fine. Like, I don't think he'd be bad. I mean, he looks like he's really, really put a lot of work into wrestling. Apparently, his grandmother inspired him to get into wrestling, and she was a fan of wrestling. Apparently, he played college football, but then he quit to become a wrestler. So he seems to be really dedicated, and I hope if he does come over to WWE that he does well and that he becomes successful. And looking in hindsight, it's always kind of hard, at the moment to really see how well talent will be in WWE because there are so many bullshit factors that go into who succeeds and who doesn't that it doesn't really come down to your talent. I mean, you can be a Daniel Bryan tier guy and the company just does not want to support you, and you can be a Roman Reigns guy and they push you through the fucking stars. So, if this guy maybe has people in the back that like him, that will definitely help him. If people that are in the back don't like him or just don't think that he's main event material or that they shouldn't take a risk on him, this guy's career is fucking done before it's even started. So that's the one thing that I kind of am unsure about because, it's not like in football or like any other sport or sport entertainment, as WWE like to call themselves, where like you can look at a guy based on their talent and skill set alone and be like, yeah, this person is going to succeed, they're going to fail. You can't really do that in WWE because even if a person's good or even fantastic, the company may not want to be behind them, or they just, in spite of them getting over, despite WWE not wanting them to, just don't push them. So, I'm gonna speculate and say that he probably will be okay. I don't see him being main event material. I see him, if they decide to use him decently and moderately, that he'll be not a main eventer, a mid carder. I could see him being a mid carder, one of the guys that they put into one of those like battle royales to fill up an extra body. He may be one of those people that come up to break out the big tear aparts that wrestlers have before pay-per-views like Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker and so on. But I don't think there's been any like official word. Like, I don't think he's actually, as of right now, going there, but there's certainly the talks of him coming, and I hope he does. I mean, NXT, I feel, if he goes down there, he can have a pretty good run for himself. I mean, being in NXT is not a negative, and it's actually a plus. I mean, a lot of people go to NXT to reinvent themselves and get pushes and opportunities that they would have never gotten on the main roster. So, for Keith Lee, maybe the best place for him is NXT. Maybe he'll stay there for a few years, build up a resume, build up his skill set there, get used to the WWE style, and maybe Vince will decide that it's time for him to get taken to the main roster, and hopefully he does not shit the bed with the guy. But like I said, this is all assuming that he's actually a very talented guy in WWE, because when you're working in smaller promotions, coming to the big leagues, there's a lot of adjustments. It's a lot more directed. You can't do a lot of things you can do on the indies. It's a lot more micromanaged. You have to do things X, Y, and Z way, and if you don't, you're punished. You can't do things outside the box unless you're a top guy. So, he has a lot that he's going to have to learn and overcome, but my prediction is that he'll do okay, assuming that he doesn't piss off anyone in the back, or like someone in the back just doesn't like him, and that he's just not able to really adapt to the WWE style, because that's the main important thing. If you're not able to adapt to the style that they want, then that's going to be pretty difficult for you, regardless of how good you are. So, those are my thoughts of Keith Lee coming over. What do you guys think? And with that said, I think I'm going to be done for now, and I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.